It's Jonathan Schrager, joined by Ian Dean, who's the matchmaker for Cage Warriors Fighting Championship. How are we doing, Ian, today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Good stuff. We just had a little brief chat there before we went on camera, and you mentioned that there's quite a number of ex-Cage Warriors fighters that are on the card tomorrow. And I also read somewhere that the UFC has recently taken on a few of your champions. Do you view this as kind of a flattering thing because it shows that you've got some of the best talent in the world fighting for you?
On a personal point of view, I think it's a good thing. You know, I think it shows that the kind of fighters on Cage Warriors are, good quality, and the fights that we're putting on are, they're good for fighters' careers. We're a breeding ground, and we're a place where, let's put it like this: if you're an outsider and you're looking in and you're thinking, well, who's that guy? Where's he come from? And they dig down, they have a look, and they see it's us, and I think that's a great thing, personally. Yeah.
Was it eight ex-Cage Warriors fighters you said that's on the card tomorrow?
I know it's, I'm sure it's over half a dozen, yeah. I mean, and if you think just recently, Neil Seery, who was our flyweight champion, recently got signed. Phil Harris, who's also on the card, in 2012. He was at Cage Warriors. Mats Nielsen fought last year on Cage Warriors. And I'm sure there's more as well off the top of my head. Yeah.
I mean, of all the fighters you kind of cited there, how do you think they'll fare tomorrow? I know obviously Neil's come in on quite late notice, and that'll be a tough fight. But Mats and Neil and the other Cage Warriors vets, how do you think they're going to fare tomorrow?
At this level, every fight's a tough fight, and and if you match properly, this is the kind of thing that happens. Neil's going to go in there with no fear. Would he have got a chance otherwise if this didn't happen? I don't know. He might have needed more fights. And I think this is a life-changing opportunity against a main card against someone like Brad Pickett. Two guys who have paid their dues, which I really appreciate. In the UK and European and world scene. So it's not really for me, I think, to make sort of predictions. I think that's rude because I know a lot of the guys on the card because they're UK fighters. But I don't think he's going to disappoint. I think he'll go out there to fight, and he'll either go out on his sword, or he might surprise some people. As for Mats Nielsen, he's fighting Luke Barnett. It's a really entertaining fight. Mats is a great grappler. He's got improving striking, and I like Luke as well. He's again on the Ultimate Fight, I think he really showed that he belongs here. So that's a good fight, and Phil. I think Phil's got a lot more to show than he has in his previous UFC performances. I think people would probably might be counting him out, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a win. And you got Brad Scott as well, against Claudio Enrique. That's going to be a great fight. So against Claudio Silva, it's going to be a great fight. So yeah.
Okay, and obviously because a fair few of your prominent fighters have sort of transitioned over to the UFC in recent months and years, are you in close contact with anyone at the UFC? Because obviously, a lot of your talent is interchanging there.
Yeah, look, personally, no. I mean, the UFC is the UFC. They do their own thing, and I do mine. That's it, really. At the end of the day, I mean, I'm sure there'll be people there that will sit there in the industry and go, oh yeah, I'm always on the phone and big chats and stuff. But in reality, I'm busy enough as it is with Cage Warriors, and I won't be presumptuous enough to try and go up to someone and go, hey man, that's chat. It's that's not me.
Well, they must be keeping close tabs on you and watching the cards, because obviously they admire the fighters that you've got in your promotion. Just moving on briefly, obviously you're now arguably the biggest and most prominent MMA promotion in Europe, and certainly in terms of broadcast quality and the fighters, you put on great cards. What's the kind of, I hate to use the term business plan, because I don't want to view the sport as a business, but obviously Cage Warriors as a promotion, how do you kind of plan to take things to the next level? Because you're already producing brilliant cards, you're going around multiple countries with great fighters. How do you take this thing another step further?
We'll see. At the end of the day, I just make the fights. I'm not a business guy, but for me it's quite simple. I want to put on the best fights I can with the roster that I have. and with the resources we have. I think if you have a look since Cage Warriors was taken over by Graham Boyden back in July 2010, I mean, things have changed, you know. It's not to say the things that happened back in the day were bad, it's just, you know, look at us now, you know, we did 14 shows last year, 12 before that, I think 6 before that, now we're on course to do 18, we had a show last month, we had a show a week ago, we've got 2 more planned this month, 1 in April, maybe 2 in April even, and more, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, I've got a responsibility to my roster of fighters to keep them busy, keep getting them to pursue their dreams. But then I'm also conscious of our TV partners and the fans, you know. I just want to put on good fights. I don't want to do gimmicks. I don't want to sit there and like build up and load my card, you know. Sink or swim and let your talent show, and you know, we'll be fair. And as long as the fans like the fights, the people on TV like the fights, and the fighters are happy, then I'm cool.
Okay, that's fair enough. Obviously, sort of, in terms of the pinnacle of the sport, Joe Silva is the matchmaker for the UFC. I'm sure you hear this all the time, that Ian is the Joe Silva of Cage Warriors. But, you know, sort of from your perspective, with a kind of critical eye, do you look at some of the fights that Joe Silva makes, and do you kind of say, oh, I might have done that differently, or do you applaud him and say, yeah, that's the right fight, you've done well there? Do you kind of look at his role in a kind of critical eye because of your role?
I mean, I think in general, when you're involved in MMA, you always look at what other people do and go, oh wow, that's really cool, whether it be production or, you know, the announcers you use, the venue, and it's kind of like impossible to go to a show sometimes and go, I'm just going to sit and be a fan and chill out with a beer, because you're sitting there and go, that's not quite, you know, I'll do that, that's a really good idea. I mean, as for actual individual matches, you know, look, I'm not going to comment on that. I mean, Joe had, you know, the 155ers up the heavyweight. Myself, I like the lighter guys. You know, Cage Warriors, that's what we've been about. You know, I'm really trying to push the flies, the bantams, feathers, and like, we've got our women's divisions now. I mean, I'm a massive fan of what Sean Shelby does with the lighter weights. And back when he was WEC, he was putting on fantastic fights there, and he's a cool dude as well. I mean, but I'm not going to sit there and go like judging like other guys who, like, you know, the top of the game. That's, like I said, you know, it's not my style.
No, that's fair enough. Obviously, you know, it's kind of hard to talk to you without asking you a question about Conor McGregor. I mean, obviously, Conor was 2-weight champion in your organisation, very colourful character. I imagine you spent a bit of time around Conor. Is it kind of, you know, is Conor the same Conor off camera as he is in front of the camera? You know, this charismatic extrovert.
Conor's always been confident. From the first time I met him, when he fought Joseph Duffy in Cage Warriors in Ireland back in 2010, you know, straight into Duffy's face, letting him know, you know, who he is. And you know, back then he was pretty much unknown only to the hardcore Irish scene, and he lost that night. But look what he's done since. You know, he cut Duffy early on, and since then he's just grown and grown. And it was a pleasure seeing him fight on Cage Warriors. You know, again, you know, he's a guy that worked, you know, really worked his trade, and you know, he fought tough guys. Dave Hill, he lit up the Helix in Dublin. When he submitted him, you look at Ivan Bishinga, you know, 1-hit knockout. You know, that night, if not before that, that was a superstar in the making, and the media's reaction, and you know, the hits he was getting on YouTube, you know, that just cemented his star status. And yeah, it was great working with him. And yeah, you know, some people, they do put on an act, but you know, that guy, he's so confident, he has such high self-belief that I'm not surprised that he is where he is right now. And you know, great camp as well. You know, it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Okay, and obviously, as we just touched upon there, Conor is a very, you know, very confident, lot of self-belief. He's gone on record as stating that he'd like to be 2-weight world champion in the UFC, mirroring his achievement in Cage Warriors. How kind of realistic do you think this is within the UFC?
I mean, I don't think it's for me to say yeah or no. You know, I mean, I think the UFC have kind of said before that they don't really want 2-weight champions. You know, with the amount of shows they have and the talent they have at their disposal, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But there's no doubt in my mind that Conor McGregor will be UFC champion one day. You know, his confidence, his ever-growing skill set, his power. You know, it's not just me saying it. it will take something very special to beat him right now, you know. And yeah, he has a great camp, great team. Like I said, yeah, he'll definitely be UFC champion, I think, one day.
Okay, fantastic. I'm a northerner, and I follow Leroy Barnes on Twitter. He's a very, very charismatic bloke, nice fellow as well. He's just announced his return to mixed martial arts. Is he still fighting with Cage Warriors, and has his next fight been announced yet?
Yeah, I mean he will be fighting on Cage Warriors later this year. I really can't say anything until it's signed. I'm looking forward to having Lee back. He's had a tough time at Cage Warriors, but then he's taken on really good guys as well. You know, he was very close to beating Norman Prezi, who Bellator vet, was on TUF, and yeah, he was unlucky in London last year when he fought a very skillful Polish guy, late notice. And you know, he stood and bang against Ronan McKay, who's a tough guy as well. But you know, Leroy's taken a couple of months out. Good for him, and you know, I think if you've followed him on Twitter the last few days, he's got the love back. And what I can say now is the fight he's got, it's going to be great. It's going to be a really entertaining fight, and it's the kind of fight I know that Leroy's going to be up for. And yeah, a few more days and it'll be out. And yeah, watch out, fireworks.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was actually at that fight in Liverpool against Parisi, and obviously a lot of people, you know, including Leroy obviously himself, felt he was a little bit hard done by. He felt he maybe edged it, and I think I agree. He looked really sharp on the feet that night. I suppose obviously you can't divulge the name of his opponent, but we know Leroy's he's got great banter, very outspoken. Is his opponent someone who's quite mild-mannered like Norman Parisi, or is it someone who's going to give him a bit back?
I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, you know, the policy is, you know, we really don't talk fights until they're confirmed. And I don't actually know contractually where it's at the minute. I know Leroy has returned the contract, that doesn't go to me. But yeah, I mean, look, Leroy can sell any fight, you know, and yeah, I'm pretty sure there'll be some words. And but most of all, it's, you know, the people are going to be there are going to be entertained, and like I said, when you've got a showman like Lee, and that's what normally happens.
Okay, fair enough. Well, just before we go today, is there any kind of thing you want to mention? Any big fights coming up that you're particularly excited about that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I mean, at Cage Warriors, we're in Copenhagen on March 22nd. We've got Nicholas Dalby fighting Sergey Chelyov of the Ukraine. For our vacant welterweight title. Dalby's a great prospect, unbeaten 11-0. Sergey's 15-1, I believe, off the top of my head. You know, skilled submission specialist. Should be an interesting striker grappler clash. We've got like really an all-star Scandinavian supporting lineup. Bruno Carvalho versus Mohsen Bahari, co-main, and we've got a few other surprises as well as UK vets, Robbie Olivier and Tommy Maguire, John's brother. And then 6 days later, we're in the Middle East, back in Jordan. Always a great atmosphere. The Middle Eastern crowd, they're fantastic, from open weigh-ins to Arabic chants during the fights. We've got a few local fights that are going to be really great there as well, and a couple of Cage Warrior debuts. And then, you know, the craziest returns we've got April 12th, the eagerly anticipated bantamweight clash between Brett Johns, who's 9-0, versus James Brum, who's a real fan favourite. That's for the title. We've got a strong local cast there, and then hopefully we're going to have another show in April after that, and then our big arena show in Liverpool. Like you said, you were there last year. We've really got some big names right now. We've just signed Jim Warhead. He's going to be on the card, and basically all the big names in Liverpool that are signed to Cage Warriors is going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And obviously you mentioned some really exciting prospects there. Is there any kind of, you know, like I know Conor's inimitable in some ways, but is there any really dynamic kind of guys that you've got on the roster that maybe a lot of people aren't aware of yet?
I mean, Chris Fishgold at featherweight for Liverpool, unbeaten, you know, still really young. I think he's only 22, and incredibly just fast-paced, very dynamic grappler, aggressive. Beat a very good veteran in Olivier Pastor in Newcastle last year. Danny Roberts from Next Generation as well, Fishgold's teammate. You know, he looks the part. You know, he's very flashy, great striking, and you know, in London just last month he beat an M1 veteran in Juan Manuel Suarez, got into a lot of trouble but gutted it out. Yeah, we've got a lot of stars. I mean, like Brett Johns, I think someone people are going to watch out for, and James Brown, who's done so well. You know, I'd say that I want to put on good fights, and the people who are winning these fights, you know, they're going to get noticed. You know, I'm not there to protect people, you know, and I think if you're winning on Cage Warriors and you're getting a streak and you're getting a title, then you know you deserve that. Them titles mean something. You know, you look at the lineage of the people, like, you know, from Bisping to Hardy, you know, Gerard Moussaoui, Antonio Silva, Jeff Monson, Martin Kampfman. You know, that was back in the day. To the present day guys who are now in the UFC, these titles mean something. I think fighting on our show means something. And like I said, you know, people should tune in and watch, and you know, follow us at cagewarriors.com and on Twitter at cagewarriors, and they're going to see the talent we've got, not only in this country but also in Europe as well.
Lovely. Well, thanks for your time today, Ian. Certainly exciting times ahead for Cage Warriors, and I'm looking forward to seeing the progress of the organisation.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Ian. Thank you.